This is DRF Race of the Day. Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF Race of the Day for Friday, August the 6th, race number 7 at Saratoga. Let's throw up the field for the Grade 2 National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame, one of 2 graded stakes races scheduled for the turf at Saratoga on Friday. And you can download free past performances for the Hall of Fame, Formulator ones at that, on the Race of the Day event page at drf.com. Access them and handicap along with us. Chad Brown, surprise, surprise, is the morning line favorite. The 2 public sector just missed last time out in the Manila.
Yeah, I mean, probably unlucky not to win the Manila last time, Dan. So we'll see if this horse can pull a better trip this time.
He was wired last time out in a pretty slow pace. That original, the number 6 set, we thought the Timeform US pace projector may not be as easy for original this time around. The speed expected to come outside of original, the 7 next, the 8 Wolfie's Dynaghost. Original's got to be forwardly placed. Louis Saez draws inside. I would take the race to next in Wolfie's Dynaghost.
I mean, I guess we'll see how the pace plays out. It feels like Wolfie's Dynaghost is sort of a real wild card in here, Dan. He hasn't raced on turf yet. He's very fast early, and he's not that easy to rate, or at least he hasn't been thus far. He is bred for turf, though.
Was next the number 1 a 3-hit wonder? He won his first 3 races, including 2 stakes at Gulfstream. Looked like he'd be any kind for Bill Mott. He disappointed in the American Turf 3 starts back. That's kind of the race that I just can't get past because he had the excuse in the Manila that there was no pace for him to run at.
Agreed. He didn't have a lot of pace last time. He also didn't run that well. And I'm with you. His American Turf did have a big pace for him. He was favored that day. He never really made any kind of an impact in there. And that race sort of makes you wonder how good this horse actually is.
Public sector, the number 2, graded stakes placed as a 2-year-old for Chad. And this one and only bad race really was the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, where he was banged around leaving the gate over a wet turf course. His Manila was just fine. He should get some pace this time around, and he's likely to be running late, albeit at a short price.
Yeah, I think all those things are true. I mean, I could kind of go either way on him, Dan. Obviously, when you go back and watch the Manila, you just sort of walk away feeling like he was best in there and got really unlucky. I'm not sure what the plan was from Flavien Prat that day, because 2 starts back, the pace wasn't fast. He sat right on top of it. He won. So last time, I'm not sure what the idea was to take him back, but it really cost him as they did that. I don't know. I think he's better than his last race. His win 2 back didn't do a lot for me. I don't know how short a price I would want on this horse.
Another horse that could add to the pace picture is the 3 Ranger Fox, stretching out for the first time for John Terranova. Let's watch the maiden win, going 7/8 of a mile for this $310,000 son of Nyquist. And he worked out a pretty decent trip in here, Mike. He draws away in the stretch once he's straightened out by Rosario, and he earned a respectable figure.
He did. I mean, you really can't knock his 3 turf races too much, I guess. He's run okay in all of them. This is not a good field he's beating, Dan. I suppose there's a chance that the runner up there could be okay. That horse is very lightly raced for Bill Mott. I just feel like he beat a bad field here, and maybe it made him look a little better than he actually is.
Easy Time, the number 4, has only raced once previously on turf. It was a good effort at Gulfstream Park 2 starts back, and he bounced out of that race with the race we're going to show you right now. He switched to the Tapeta at Woodbine and a graded stakes win for Mark Casse. He traveled very comfortably throughout, tracking the pace on the outside. He takes over the lead. He goes about his business. Rock solid 89 Beyer speed figure, and he might get the right setup here.
Yeah, he might. This just feels like a real big step in the right direction for this horse. And what was essentially his 3-year-old debut, Dan. He's off of a layoff here. His turf race back in February, it was okay. I mean, I didn't think he ran great in there without much of an excuse. But it does feel like off the layoff last time, he took a really big step forward. Maybe he's just a synthetic horse, but he's got pedigree to be a good turf horse too. And I feel like at the right price, you could give him another chance in here.
Speaking of right prices, the 5 In Effect's going to be a big price. That doesn't worry Jack Sisterson. He scored with Lexingtonian at a giant price last week in the Grade 1 Vanderbilt. This horse's lone win came for a $75,000 maiden claiming tag. Obviously, he might be a bit class compromised, but if you believe this pace is going to be a barbecue, he's a 1-run late closer that's going to be charging at the end.
Yeah, and he might be a little better than he looks on paper. I know it was only a maiden claim or 2 back. I thought he ran pretty well in that race. Going back to him as a 2-year-old, I even thought in his debut, he was very green in there. I thought he showed a little potential that day. He's probably in a little too tough here, Dan, but he could get a piece of this.
Let's watch that Manila we were talking about earlier featuring original and public sector. And as we turn to the stretch of the Manila, we see the fractions. Original, 3/4 and 114 and 2 after going a half and 50 and 1, just sprinting away. And public sector runs really, really well, trying to overcome this pace scenario, getting up into second and almost running down original. The question for original is A, can he rate? B, can he overcome faster fractions and still win?
Right. I mean, it feels like the pace is really against him in here. I think the other question, the third question I would have, Dan, is he good enough to beat this field? Even if he does sort of pull the trip that he wants to pull. He won the race last time with all the best of it. I feel like, most people who watch the Manila probably want public sector out of that race. He'll be an okay price once again in here. I just wonder how good this horse is.
John Velasquez gave the number 7 next, a textbook ride last time out in the War Chant at Churchill Downs. It was only a 4-horse field. He used this horse's natural speed to get to the front. He backed down the fractions. He sprinted on home. I'm going to take that 90 buyer with a grain of salt because it might have been pace aided.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly feel like that's probably how you're supposed to look at that race. Easy time on the lead in there and then just sprinted through the stretch. The reason that I think if you like this horse, the reason you like him is probably because of his race prior to that in the American Turf, as we already talked about, Dan. That was a really fast pace. This horse chased it. He took over around the second turn. I mean, he got tired in the stretch, but I actually feel like this horse ran deceptively well that day.
Perhaps the horse with the most upside potential of any in this field is the 8, Wolfie's Dynaghost. I know you've been very impressed with this horse, Mike, coming out of his most recent win, a one other than on dirt. He's got that giant turf pedigree for Tom Albertrani. He's a really interesting candidate switching to the grass.
Yeah, I think he is too. I mean, I generally don't like these horses making the surface switch in this kind of a race. They switch them over in a graded stakes race. That's never that easy. I do believe that this horse has a lot of talent, though, and there's a chance that he just comes out of there running and clears the front in this race. And if he does that, he might be really, really tough to beat. I'm afraid of him, Dan. I couldn't ultimately talk myself into him. I also don't think I love the fact that Albertrani worked him on the grass last time. I feel like he's supposed to know this horse wants turf.
Top pick time for the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame. We're in agreement. We're going to go with easy time. Synthetic to turf for Mark Casse. Just like the way he powered home to win that race. Thought his turf race was okay 2 starts back, and he should get the right setup. I'm hoping David Aragona, our friend and colleague, is right. So that 6-1 on the morning line seems appealing.
Yeah, it does. I really do think he took a step forward last time. He's got to prove it on turf now, but I think you're going to get the right price, and I'm with you. I think he could get a good trip in this race.
4872 for Mike, 4736 for me in the Grade 2 National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame at the Spa on Friday. Good luck.